and so I wasn't going to do one again today, but I figured no, it's been too long, and so I threw down some points this time, and so there's going to be a lot of things I'm going to be missing just because there's a lot that has gone on, and but anyways, I was busy, and and then I was also putting together a PowerPoint presentation and a speech for Remembrance Day because I'm going to be speaking at a high school that I graduated from because my sister is a teacher there now, and I was invited. And so for the last few days, I've just been sending my documents to someone from the high school to review, etc., and get set up for Monday. It will be the day before Remembrance Day that they're doing this, and so. But anyway, and then on Remembrance Day, I'm going to be going to a local ceremony, followed by a pub likely, and go from there. But anyway, so just another reason why I had not popped on for a few days. So, anyways, looking through my notes here, because again, so much has happened, and some of it is just what a mess. Especially Canadian news, just because obviously I'm Canadian, and I had this up before the Carney elections. By the way, this is not an elbows up friggin' symbol at all, not remotely, or it would be upside down. Anyway, and so tariffs. I've already talked about that and how Doug Ford, I think he was the fall guy, the pansy that was duped into that advertisement that he friggin' had us taxpayers pay $75 million to advertise, which penalized Canada yet again, especially Ontario, with an increase in tariffs, and then no deal with Canada when it's 75% of our exports are for to the U.S. and 75% of the friggin' money that we get. And by the way, we have a surplus when it comes to dealing with trade relations with the U.S., or at least we did. And depending on the year, it's always been in the last several years over $100 billion of surplus that we're getting from the U.S. So they are our number one. They are our number one primary trading partners, allies, and that needs to be something that sticks. Okay, for North America's friggin' future, anyways. And why are we trying to replace that trading partner with China and other countries when they'll never be able to have that same level of partnership and that amount of exports imports between us and the U.S. and we don't have the infrastructure built in our port areas, etc., to even do exports at this time with other places, especially within Europe. And so that will take time as well. And so we're doing everything wrong. And I've been saying this since the beginning. And yeah, like even with the free trade agreement, the U.S. MCA agreement, whatever you want to call it, um, we were not abiding by it for many years, and we were getting away with it, like the dairy cartels, etc. Like I've talked about before, we had like huge tariff percentages for a lot of our products going to the U.S. and nothing was being done about it. And so we were taking advantage of certain um, of the U.S. And so yeah, and so that was stopped. And so, but we need to make a deal. Long story longer. So, anyways, that's all I'll say about that. I think Doug Ford again. I don't think he's smart enough to have come up with the idea himself. A stupid advertisement that he did. Actually, it was a dumb ad, so like maybe he did have a lot more involvement than I'm giving him credit for. But I do think that Carney, at the end of the day, he's responsible for that advertisement, and just that alone should be a reason for this guy to step down. Like he is in over his head, and he has the same cabinet members that he is selecting that have failed us now for over a decade now. And so same old, same old. And he was the financial advisor during COVID 2020 and beyond, and moved Brookfield to New York. And by the way, Brookfield might have to move again, but I'll get into that. And yeah, and so Carney also is a Marxist and communist, and I do think that he's like an atheist as well. And throughout history, I've done so many videos on this about Stalin and Lenin and Hitler, etc., and how much suffering and harm and societal collapse has been at the hands of socialists, communists, especially when they remove God from their belief systems to guide their morality. And yeah, so then you've got Mamdani, who is a communist, socialist, despite the fact that his family, they are wealthy. And I can't even believe it. And And these systems of governance as well, like this stifles innovation, technological advancement, medical advancement, etc. It stifles progress, and it's very short lived. And so maybe New York needs to be an example of what communism, socialism can actually do, because it's not some kind of a utopia; it's a dystopia. It always has been. Like, this is why I was mentioning Stalin and Lenin and Marx and Marx, Karl Marx and Carney and yeah. Anyways, and even Kamala Harris's father was a communist and a professor that actually taught like that, those systems of governance. And there are people in Canada who literally vote for the communist parties, especially in Ottawa. And I shared this before. Even during our last elections, there was over 1,000 people, I think it was, that voted communist, and that's alarming. If this was like, if these were Nazis, because again, communism, far left, Nazi, far right. If there was over 1,000 people within the Ottawa area alone that voted for like a fucking fudging Nazi party, excuse me, um, this would be like mainstream media. This would be news. This would be huge news. But no, not because it's on the far left, and our media is far left, and they're state funded by a government that's far left. Of course, anything that's actual truth that's puts them in a bad light, they absolutely still push down. But anyway, and so Thomas Sowell talks about this as well, how this is like a terrible model that will never work. And they have over 1,000 millionaires, I think it is, in New York rather, and they have over 100 billionaires, and they're looking at they're projecting that at least 5% within the next year are going to be leaving New York in response to Mamdani winning the election. And he's even been quoted saying, like, he's on the record saying that his plan is to tax the rich white people. Like, he literally talks about that stuff, and defunding the police, all of these socialist initiatives that again always fail societies, and there's more crime, there's more famine, um, more poverty, etc. And so the taxpayers are going to leave, and they're going to places like Texas, and they already started doing that, right? So even with Wall Street, they're now calling it Y'all Street, because a lot, like most of the companies have moved to Texas. And actually, I'm going to share this from Grok, because again, don't trust AI without confirming from multiple different sources and platforms. So anyways, I was just asking it, like, was Stalin a democratic socialist atheist that led protests against the rich and powerful? And you notice that even Mamdani's talking about attacking the rich and powerful. Again, it's the same friggin' playbook. Never works. Anyways, so Joseph Stalin, 1878-1953, was indeed an atheist and was deeply involved in protests against the rich and powerful during his early years as a revolutionary. And so anyway, this is where Grok is wrong. Grok says he was not a democratic socialist. He was a Marxist-Leninist. By the way, Carney being a Marxist, not good either. Neither of these are good. Who championed authoritarian socialism, and his ideology evolved into Stalinism, a form of totalitarianism that diverged sharply from democratic principles. Sure. Below, I'll break down this based on historical records. This is where, no, he doesn't talk about it yet. Anyway, Stalin was raised in the Georgian Orthodox Church but rejected religion early in his life, embracing militant atheism as a core tenet of Marxism-Leninism. He viewed religion as the opiate of the masses, echoing Karl Marx, and promoted state atheism in the Soviet Union, closing churches, persecuting clergy, and enforcing anti-religious education. Yeah, that actually happened. And that another reason why there was the collapse of the Soviet Union in 91, because of communism. So evidence because of atheist communism rulership. So during his rule, the Soviet state conducted the League of Militant Atheists campaign, 1925-1941, destroying thousands of churches, Christian churches, and executing or imprisoning religious leaders. Stalin's writings, such as his 1927 pamphlet on dialectical and historical materialism, explicitly denounced religious beliefs as counter-revolutionary. Again, this could not be so far from what it should be. And this is where we had like the philosophers from the past, where they diverged. They went away from the metaphysical and started teaching more about the physical, removing God or metaphysical and spirituality from the sciences, or at least they tried to. And that was something that had been debated again for millennia. So as a young revolutionary in the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, the RSDLP, Stalin organized strikes and demonstrations against Tsarist oppression. Factory owners interesting, and the wealthy elite. And so was he a democratic socialist? Well, yeah, he was, because he was literally in that friggin' party. He was one of one of the more significant leaders within the party. And so, and that they do the same thing about Hitler. They're like, oh, he wasn't a socialist. Well, he like the Nazis, like it's literally in the name. So it could have evolved into something else because he got a little bit more crazy, but that's the start state. This is where we're saying this never works when you actually implement the ideologies and the system of governance that comes with socialism, democratic socialism, whatever you want to call it. As soon as you add in the socialism in there, no. Anyway. Okay, so Stalin rose through the Bolshevik ranks, becoming general secretary in 1922 and dictator by 1929. His socialism in one country doctrine prioritized, socialism in one country, so national socialism. Oh my goodness. And people talk about like the right wing being the nationalists. Anyways, so prioritized Soviet power over global revolution, leading to purges. 1936-38, 700,000 deaths and famines. While he started as a revolutionary protesting inequality, his regime created new elites and suppressed dissent, far from democratic ideals. So then I said Russian Social Democratic Labor Party. Stalin led it, and Democratic Socialist is in the name of the party. So, and anyways, Grok is sort of agreeing with me. Okay, so now Grok is trying to say, oh, but he wasn't a true democratic socialist, or else it would have worked. Okay. Okay, so organized strikes. Lenin was the dominant figure, obviously. Stalin rose to prominence as general secretary of the Bolshevik Party in 1922. After the RSDLP evolved into the Russian Communist Party, the Bolsheviks post-1917 revolution. Influence grew after Lenin's death. Yeah. Yeah, it did. Okay, as a Bolshevik, Stalin supported Lenin's authoritarian tactics. October Revolution as a coup, not an election. His later policies, purges, gulags, collectivization, were antithetical to democratic socialism. Yeah, no shit. Which emphasizes free elections, individual rights, and social welfare without dictatorship. It's, what's happening in Italy right now. I don't know if people are aware, but like I think they say that over like 40% of the population right now is they're refusing to work. So there are people that are unable to work, but there are people that are actively refusing to because their taxes have gone up significantly. People are ranging anywhere between 50 and 8% of their money going to the government because of all of these different friggin' woke DEI, ESG, social programs, etc. Replacement migration that's going on in a lot of areas. And having the taxpayers pay for it, and they, yeah, and so it's gotten out of control. And so I hope that's not something that happens in Canada or the U.S. because again, I can understand why people want to do that, and I understand why Alberta wants to separate more and more. Like I've said that since the beginning, it would just screw over Canada, but Canada's screwing over Alberta, and so like I mean, it is the smartest move for Alberta to have a referendum and separate. But again, it would be heart crushing. Okay, so anyway, finally got to there. So is Wall Street moving to Texas? So no, Wall Street itself, the iconic financial district in New York City and the symbolic heart of U.S. finance, is not relocating to Texas. However, there is a significant shift of financial operations, talent, and infrastructure to Texas, particularly Dallas, driven by what? Lower taxes, business-friendly regulations, and a booming economy. This trend has accelerated in recent years, with major players expanding or establishing new hubs in the state, earning the nickname Y'all Street, which I already mentioned. So key drivers, taxes and costs. Texas has no state income tax, lower property taxes, and cheaper real estate compared to New York. Example, office space in Dallas costs $30 a square foot versus $80 plus in Manhattan. Wow, almost a third cheaper. So regulatory environment, lighter regulations and pro-business policies attract firms fleeing high costs and scrutiny in New York. You know how Brookfield moved to New York last year under Carney? More and more taxpayers, more and more millionaires and billionaire types are fleeing Canada, especially in the last few years. And I've talked about this again for years. Why? Because of exactly this. And they're going to places like Texas, like one of my friends did, and now he's in another red state, which is blue. Conservatives are blue in Canada, probably because of red. Anyway, so Texas growing population and tech energy sector, Silicon Slopes in Austin, energy in Houston provides skilled workers. Economic growth. Texas added 473,000 jobs in 2023-24 alone, rather, with financing growth of 111% over 20 years versus 16% in New York. Wow, look at that. And Canada, we are so bad as well. So comparing our GDP to debt ratio, under Harper, just before 2015 under Harper, it was at 37.8%. Now it's over 110%. And this is under the Liberals. This is under the leftist radical Liberals and NDP as well, and Bloc, grifters within the House of Commons that again, they're voting to keep their jobs and have the power and the money and stay in terms longer so they can get their pensions, etc., and have like the nice travel, paid for by taxpayers, not actually do their friggin' jobs, and then have these alliances where people are not held accountable when they should be. And there are people that still need to be in jail. And they clearly don't understand economics. And this is what I mean too with like having more woke DEI hires. So not based on merit, but based on sexual preferences or, race, as long as you're not white, especially a white male. Justin Trudeau was bragging about this, how he wanted to have 50% of the House of Commons be women. So again, this is based on DEI woke ESG hiring processes and has nothing to do with merit. And look what has happened. Look how brutal and incompetent these elected officials are, and they keep on getting reelected and chosen again for cabinet positions. They just shuffle around departments, which is so friggin' annoying. There's got to be rules against that. And now conservatives resigning from the Conservative Party, like Chris Tremont from Nova Scotia. He should just resign and not be allowed to just switch parties and then have another election in Nova Scotia where his riding is. It's been less than a year. Or at least there should be limits where it has to be within 2 years. You have to serve 2 years and then announce your resignation or moving to another party. But then that would also have to trigger an election. I don't know. We've got it so backwards in Canada right now. So I'm just looking at my notes here. Yeah, so we're hollowing at the middle class in Canada. And more are going to leave. The ostriches are dead. There are enough people that are reporting on it. Jasmine Lane, Viva Fry, Moose na Loose, Mario for the North. Great content providers. And I really wish they were like this is where I would be more in agreement of there being state funded media if it was more like them, because they are definitely not biased. They are more conservative, but they when they report the news, they report based on facts and evidence, and not based on subjective data and emotions and trying to diagnose people and just attack people on the left, right? They don't do that. Like there's no hit, like there's so many hit pieces from people on the left because they're not able to debate or argue people on the right, like their arguments. And so it's diagnosing them like fascist, Nazi, racist, sexist, misogynist, etc. Always diagnosing people and then again targeting these social media influencers, the ones that I've even just mentioned. And then again, all they do is it's lazy. All they do is just like throw hit pieces, take what they've said out of context, just like they do in the U.S. as well, which they've done with Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and countless others. Take things out of context always, and people just roll with it. It's so frustrating, but that's always what happened. And anyways, the ostriches murdered. And ostriches can live, especially if in captivity. They actually live longer, apparently, in captivity, depending on who their friggin' owners are. But these owners in BC, apparently, they were incredible owners. They had this business for over 35 years, I believe. and a lot of these ostriches were again in their 30s as well, and they can live upwards to 80 years old, and in captivity anywhere between 50 and 80 or 50 and 70 years old. And so and these were not to eat. These were there were people in the U.S., people within the American government, so people in the CFIA and the RCMP that are justifying this murder based on policies and regulations with the U.S. Well, they're like the head of the health department, okay, and Dr. Oz and others offered to take the ostriches, and so disgusting that they were trying to use that as an excuse, and they could have been again used for science, because these are birds that didn't get bird flu. One of these alleged two birds last year got bird flu and died from it. These birds were fine, and they've been fine for almost a year now. And instead of testing to see if they have bird flu or anything like that, and again, I would look at how these tests were done, and because there's a lot of false positives that happen as well, right? And so and and yeah, with the Supreme Court, leftist, radical, disgusting human beings that I hope they are forced to resign. No pensions, like disgusting human beings denied there to even be a hearing for an appeal. Absolutely disgusting. And again, I hope these people get fired. But anyway, they're emboldened. It's absolutely disgusting. Yeah. The House of Comes. We even have people that are not even born in Canada that are with it, that are even working within cabinet, like Anita Anand and Karina Gold, and people that have dual citizenship or multiple different passports, like even Mark Carney, 3 passports, and people are trying to say that he renounced his citizenship or his passports with Ireland and the UK since he became prime minister, but I mean he had them for many years, and you know and he's likely going to get them reissued once he is not once he's done destroying the friggin' country for his own interests and his Bilderberg friends. And Anita Anand and Karina Gold, disgusting, incompetent morons, respectfully speaking. And I'm saying that because they've actually been like a huge part of the destruction of friggin' Canada in the last 10 years, and mouthpieces for like a friggin' WEF basically in Bilderberg. And but again, and not even Canadian born, and so it's just frustrating that it's gotten to this point and it's going to get worse. And yeah, there was even a World War II vet that was I don't know when this actually when this took place, but it's been circulating in the last 24 hours, where a World War II veteran in the UK basically says he regrets fighting and that it was a waste, because like that's like what he's seeing now. They're like, people are not free, etc. He's seeing like how his country is turning, and he said that's not what they were fighting for. And it's heartbreaking, and I do hear that a lot. And especially when people like find out more and more about 9/11 and World War I and World War II, and who was funding these wars, and who benefited and profited from them, and all the lies and deceit that have got us involved in wars, which have been heavily involved in drug smuggling, weapons smuggling, human trafficking, etc., by the highest levels of freaking government. It's uh, anyway, and then people on the front lines being interviewed, and these recordings coming out decades and decades later, and them saying like, to think twice before sending your sons out to die uh, for political reasons. Essentially, was the to sum it up. And yeah, so Texas Stock Exchange (TXSC) launched in June of 2025, so just a few months ago, with 161 million in funding from who? BlackRock, Citadel Securities, and Charles Schwab. The Schwabies. Anyways, it's a fully electronic national exchange competing with NYSE and NASDAQ, focusing on transparency and Texas innovation. Banks and firms, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Charles Schwab, Klaus Schwab's son, maybe possibly. I don't know. I didn't look that up. I'll look it up. Anyways, moved headquarters from California to Dallas in 2020, now expanding further. We've got Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Citadel. All have increased Texas footprints. Okay, so I see them being the main hub at some point. in the very near future, because again, most of the businesses that make it up are have moved to Texas in the last several years. All right, I'm just trying to get through a bunch of points here. I might be going too fast, but yeah. So just the budget in itself, just like a huge deficit yet again, which is I think it's like 78 billion or something like that. Absolutely appalling, not sustainable. But within it, so this is from Tracy Wilson. Hardly anyone has blinked at the federal government. Sorry, as the federal government has quietly carved $3.97 billion out of Veteran Affairs Canada's budget. So almost $4 billion taken out of the Veteran Affairs Canada's budget. Deficit through the friggin' roof, but we had to cut from back. Not these ESG carbon scam, climate scam, woke DEI, government jobs that have been created in the last 5 years, especially. Like our take a look at that government, like how much it's increased under Trudeau. I think it's like doubled. I might be wrong in that, but it might be close to that. Doubled within the last 10 years. And again, this is what we've been pushing woke DEI, climate, carbon scam bullshit. And so again, a lot of jobs need to be, dropped at this point, government jobs. And I also think that that should have been done before this. So let that sink in. Nearly $4 billion in cuts over the next 4 years. That's more than the entire VAC budget in 2015-16. And out of the other side of their mouths, they are going to increase overall spending by $141 billion over the next 5 years, and that's for the Canadian Forces. So what a slap in the face. Veterans aren't remembered, they're forgotten. And even last year, was it last year? Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland just showing up late to the friggin' Remembrance Day ceremony. Are you kidding me? Like, this is such a joke. And we don't even get a day. Like, we get a minute. We get 2 minutes, basically. And some people, again, get months and the entire year and added in their friggin' school curriculum. And anyways, this is why I will go when I'm asked. I will speak at schools, because we need to represent our and have more support for our veterans. Yeah, so this is the ostrich culling.
Look at this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 officers standing in front of 12 supporters right now, taxpayers of Canada.
The rest of the support.
And this is just a fraction of the RCMP that are here tonight. A fraction of what your government sent out so that the CFIA can slaughter healthy, innocent animals.
Disgusting.
This country has gone to hell.
This is not what you're hired for. This is what I mean. Like, even within the RCMP, like with Brenda Lucki, I think they have a better, well, I mean, clearly not a better chief of police now, or RCMP now, head of the RCMP, because he allowed this to happen. This to me is absolutely disgusting. This is obeying unlawful orders, complete government overreach, complete disgusting government overreach. And for the RCMP, for law enforcement officials to support and enable this is absolutely, to me, like, absolutely disgusting. That is not your job. That is not your job.
In a handbag.
Craziness. About 100. Let's go down here.
They're not responding to B&Es, assaults, etc. But again, like the full arm of the law to make sure that ostriches on a small business, small farm, make sure that the ostriches get slaughtered after over 40 days, essentially being tortured, because the CFIA and law enforcement they've been there for over 40 days, where the owners and the caretakers of the ostriches were not able to be around their own fucking animals that they were taking care of for decades. Unbelievable. Canada, it's just such a disappointment. Like, every single day, it's just such a disappointment.
I could throw an officer.
Look at this. We got 1, 2, 3,
This is not what the like Canadian World War I, World War II veterans fought for either.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
This is a blood red warning to every single farmer, every homesteader, every Canadian who still thinks that your backyard is your backyard. The government just executed 300 innocent ostriches in cold blood, and they're coming for your animals next. 300 majestic ostriches, living, breathing, irreplaceable creatures, were just gunned down like targets at a firing range. All because some clipboard-clutching bureaucrat stamped avian flu on a piece of paper. The CFIA death squad rolled up to Edgewood, BC, locked the owners out, and turned a family-run farm into a feathered firing range. All because a lab somewhere waved a PCR wand and screamed, H5N1, which is a freaking nothing burger. This is not disease control, folks. It's a state-sanctioned execution squad wearing lab coats. And we're not stupid. We know exactly where this is going. First, they call the birds, which just happened. Then they call your backyard chickens, which is already happening. Then they call your right to grow a single damn tomato without a government barcode. So how did they pull this off? Easy. Step 1. You let a highly pathogenic fairy tale loose in the media. Step 2, you generate a reaction like, oh no, the sky flock is falling. Then step 3, you offer the solution that you wanted all along. Total biosecurity control over every beak, claw, and egg in the country. Problem, reaction, extermination. The CFIA didn't just kill birds, guys. They killed trust. They killed the idea that your farm, your animals, your life's work is safe from men in hazmat suits with kill orders. Guys, this has nothing to do with some bogus bird flu. This is about who controls your private property and who owns your food. This is how empires fall, guys. One government bullet at a time. So here's the battle cry. Straight from the blood-soaked dust of Edgewood. No more secret death sentences. No more sniper rifles for science. No more farmers begging the courts for mercy. You need to buy direct from every rogue farmer that you can find. Raise your own birds. Pay in cash. And barter eggs for ammo. Because the second they can execute ostriches in the dark, they'll execute your future in broad daylight. This is the line, Canada. So step over it with us, or stay on the side that pulls the trigger. So are you ready to reject the coming biosecurity gulag? Share this video before they memory hole this whole situation. Drop your rage in the comments. And if you hear gunshots on a farm tonight, ask yourself, whose turn is next? This is a blood...
Yeah, he does add in like biodigital convergence and social credit scores, carbon credits, etc. This is stuff that's happening in places like China and to varying degrees in South Korea, etc. And it's not good, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not coming from a place where, oh, I have a bad credit score, etc. Because a lot of people get shamed in China when the credit score is, you know, bad or whatever. I have excellent credit. I have an excellent credit score. And so I would actually benefit from this, right? And I'm saying it's a bad idea, and I've been saying this for literally years, even as someone who would benefit from this. Someone that has a credit score of like almost 850. Yeah, here's the...
This is supposed to...
Yeah. This was taken out of context, and so I'm really glad that Ian Carroll shed some light to this, because Ben Shapiro was on stage with Megyn Kelly. It was a long interview. I only watched like some clips of it. But this one of note, this is again where I'm saying like even people on the right will take things out of context. But again, you've got Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, people that are not America first at all. And they're causing so much division now within the Republican parties, and they're targeting and attacking people like Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. But again, it's one thing to have a debate, open discussion, etc. It's another thing to, again, keep lying and taking things out of context. And it's unfortunate that Megyn Kelly fell for it, at least on stage. But in her defense, like, it was something that like she didn't look enough into. She should have done that, or had her team. Like, she has a team. Like, the team should have like looked more into it, because a lot of people fell for the Charlie Kirk after his friggin' murder. Like, a lot of people were taking a lot of things that he had said out of context, and that ultimately is what led to his death as well. People taking things that he said out of context. And so, anyways, here's the clip.
Be a debate, you animals.
I will avenge Ben Shapiro.
But it gets way better than just this part.
A video game where you shoot people, and he's pretending that this character in the video is Ben. Let's watch.
Nick is literally live streaming Grand Theft Auto like 6 years ago.
Yeah, and he's in his early 20s, I think. So he was a teenager at the time. But anyway.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that makes me laugh and laugh. That's a funny one. What a chance encounter that was. I think I just saw Ben Shapiro.
These guys have, I mean, obviously they have never been in a Call of Duty chat room. These guys have obviously, they don't have kids, or they're not paying very good attention to them.
Funny.
Because A, that was the tamest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. B, he wasn't actually referring to the guy who was shooting as Ben Shapiro. He was making a running joke. And if you had any context other than your out of context clip, you would find one of the funniest fucking clips on the internet today. Check this out. This is pure gold. And oh my God. Let's just remember, it's been 10 years since Ben Shapiro, rather than debating Nick Fuentes, tried to cancel him. Had whole organizations gang up on him, had him debanked, had him put on the no-fly list, had him kicked off of all the platforms, everything they could possibly try, except sitting down and out thinking him in the open markets with your ideas. Ben Shapiro is still a fucking pussy, too scared to debate Nick Fuentes to this day. And he could do it anytime he wanted. He could do it right now. Nick Fuentes just re-offered the challenge just the other night. It would be the most watched debate in probably the whole decade. Like overnight. It would probably single-handedly bring the Israeli wire back from bankruptcy. Ben could get a new mansion. But oy vey, that would be very dangerous to do. That would be very bad to do, to engage in the free market of ideas. So let's just remember that that's the context around Ben Shapiro debating Nick Fuentes. And that's the context around the little joke that Nick just made in the last clip that you saw. And this is the clip that Megyn Kelly apparently didn't look far enough to find.
Maybe I'll take a cruise down this side of the street.
Nick's just cruising around.
He is near, though. That is true.
He's looking for something. What's he looking for?
There he is. Yep. Hey, Ben. You thought you could get away from me the first time, huh? Without debating me? I just want to talk, please.
It's a Jew.
Stop running.
It's a Jewish guy in Grand Theft Auto.
I'm not a threat to you. Look, here I am. I showed up.
He literally is hunting down Ben Shapiro in Grand Theft Auto, not to shoot him, which is like the point of Grand Theft Auto is to just shoot random people, blow up cars, jump off buildings. That's what people do in Grand Theft Auto. Nick Fuentes is not doing that. Nick Fuentes is fucking finding the Jewish dude on the side of the road in Grand Theft Auto when he's live streaming, and he's getting out of his car and walking up to him. And because Ben Shapiro won't actually debate him in real life, instead he's simulating it in Grand Theft Auto and saying, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm no threat to you. I just want to talk to you. I'm just here to debate you, Ben Shapiro. I'm just going to talk. I'm just talking. Don't run away, Ben Shapiro.
And I just want to talk about ideas, okay?
These are leftist tactics, Ben Shapiro. No better.
You're the one that loves the
the
marketplace of ideas so much. Just talk to me.
And Megyn Kelly had no idea what she was referencing when she brought up that clip. This is literally a running joke in his streaming when he was streaming video games and streaming Grand Theft Auto. He would make jokes when he would see the Jews on the side of the road that it was Ben Shapiro, and he would try to debate him in Grand Theft Auto. And then the Jewish guy would run away because it's Grand Theft Auto, and that's how it works. And then it just gets funnier and funnier. Don't worry, it gets better.
Back here, bro.
He's just chasing him down.
Ben Shapiro, bro.
For
Get
like
back
2
here.
minutes. Doesn't want to hurt him.
You're really making my skin crawl. Fucking point to you.
And then
Is this what you want, Ben? Is
just
this what
keeps going.
Ben wants this instead of...
And the older generation's not going to watch Ian Carroll or Nick Fuentes. You know, and so like a lot of people that are gonna that listen to Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro, like they're all like, most of them are gonna believe what they shared, and again, it's taken out of context, which is unfortunate.
Oh, taser? Do I have the taser?
he's looking
And
for
they're-
non-lethal
If I
options.
had the taser, I'd be able to...
Is it possible to subdue him? Can he
As a net?
subdue him?
I don't have anything that's not optical here.
He's trying everything. He's trying everything.
No,
he can.
on second thought, no. Bad idea.
He's still chasing
Yeah.
him.
Disavow that. That's the only non-lethal weapon I have.
Talking about something else.
Literally, this is going on for minutes, trying non-lethal approaches to get a debate.
I
With
wasn't even thinking.
What does it take to get a debate with
Oh
Ben
my
Shapiro?
God.
He'll try anything to
Oh
get a
God.
debate with Ben Shapiro. He just wants to engage in the marketplace of ideas.
Of it like that, Ben.
But then, what actually winds up happening in the clip?
I think you can keep this up.
The guy's running away, and then, whoa, what
Uh-oh.
just happened? He got hit by a car. The car ran him over.
Him. I will defend. Survive.
They both survive, and then the very end of the clip, once they've been run over by cars, Nick's been chasing him down, he's been trying to debate him. And then the dude's running away. And the police shoot
What
him.
happened?
The police guys shot him.
Ben! Ben, are you okay? This is supposed to be a debate! This is a debate, you monsters! How could you kill him like...
And then Nick Shapiro comes to the defense of Ben Shapiro, or Nick Fuentes comes to the defense of Ben Shapiro and starts fighting the cops that just murdered him. And he starts going after them.
that?
This is supposed to be a debate, you animals.
I will avenge Ben Shapiro! I must avenge...
This is literally what Megyn Kelly was referencing with her terrible clip.
And I am going to show a video, please forgive me, of
Yeah.
Don't worry,
Well,
Megan.
not
We
forgiven,
forgive
Megan.
you
You should
because
know
that
better.
was fucking hilarious. This is supposed to be a debate, you animals.
I will avenge Ben Shapiro!
But it gets way better than just this part.
a video game where you shoot people, and he's pretending that this character in the video is Ben. Let's watch.
Nick is literally live streaming Grand Theft Auto like 6 years ago.
That's funny.
Yep. Completely taken out of context. Yet again. And she should know better. Again, I do like a lot of what she shares. Just like Ben Shapiro, there's a lot of stuff that he says that I do agree with. And I do wish him well, etc. But like he's not Make America Great Again. He's definitely not MAGA either. He's not America First. He definitely has a bias. He's a grifter. And he'll lose a lot of money from his key donors, sponsors. The ones that very clearly, he has a bias for. Mark Levin as well. And so they're lying to Americans, lying to the world because of money. It's unfortunate. So anyways, that's it for the major points for the week. So on that note, I will leave it at that And I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.